take digging deep, eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. They're back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. So many stories right in front of me. Some people climb to heights I've never seen. Too many falling down off their feet. These stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are.
What the hell?
Now I think we're live.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silver Sunday, where you get to listen to about half of the Silverline bunch talk about all kinds of geeky things. Today, we're going to be talking about video games again, and I'm hoping that my son is with us. I'm hoping he might chime in. We never get to hear him because You can make them hear you, can't you?
Make them hear you.
Yeah, he's not sure. He's one. I always introduce him because he's behind the scenes. He's the one, turning all the knobs and pushing all the buttons and making sure all the stuff works, and goes out to all the places it's supposed to be. So, but he's also a video game streamer. So hopefully he might chime in, and not just in our ears, but for you to hear as well. Yeah, we're going to talk about video games and hopefully get up to things that not retread stuff that we talked about last week. We'll talk about new stuff. So we're going to introduce ourselves, and we're going to move on. Hold on, I got a dinging in my ear. So I am Roland Mann. I'm kind of the head honcho here, and I write Cat and Mouse. I write Trumps and a couple of other things, and just try to kind of keep everybody in order, all the pieces going. That in itself can be a full-time job.
I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Gotta wrangle people. It's kind of like herding cats. And so we'll just go around the list and introduce ourselves. First up here on my murderer's row, right over there on my screen, is Curtis. Curtis, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody. I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline. I'm also an artist with experience in comic books, video games, and animation. That's me.
Woo-hoo! Next on my Murderers Row list is Mike Belcher. Mike, say hello to everybody.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike Belcher. I am a production designer for Silverline. I'm a graphic designer by day, a comic guy by night. I letter Divinity and Twilight Grim, and I do my own comic, Man in the Mask.
Right.
From AMK Comics.
Which we'll make sure you get links to. Mike designed this really sweet banner across the top here that I'm just madly in love with, and I think looks really good.
So everybody can get their credit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Assuming I send it to you correctly, right?
All right. Yeah. It's kind of on you, but everybody gets their credit.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Mike. Next up is Aaron. Whoa. Aaron, say hello to everyone.
Can't you hear me? I'm barking.
Is that you? Yeah.
No, my name's Aaron Humphreys. I'm the illustrator for Fire Rush, which we should be kickstarting issue 2 in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody look forward to that. And I do my own comic, Goblins, which I am finishing up issue 9. I hope to have it done within a week or two. And then that'll be in the bag. It's on the issue 10, which you can find on Webtoons and then my store and other stuff.
Sweet. Hey, it's a possibility. You might finish up Godlings about the same time we wrap up Fire Rush, and we had 2 collections there.
Yes, we could do that.
Just tossing that out as an idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously the stars have to align and everything like that, but I didn't even think about it until you just mentioned it. But it's very much a possibility.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be awesome. Okay,
yeah,
now I have something to shoot for.
Very cool. All right, next on my list here is Pete.
Ahoy.
What's up, Pete?
Hello, how's it going? Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Pete. I'm just a penciler. I'm actually gonna change my name on this to just say just a penciler.
Yeah.
Just the penciler.
I'm the penciler on the upcoming. We're calling it Champion of Miss Fury. We're gonna have to settle on a name for this now, aren't we?
We are going. Yeah, you're getting close enough now that I'm beginning to get a little antsy about the title. So
so we're gonna have to, that's coming soon. I'm just I've got 6 pages to go on that now.
Yeah, that's making me a little antsy now about the title. So when you're drawing page 1 and 2, I'm like, whatever. We got plenty of time. But now I'm like, oh,
cover's done now, and
it's a sweet looking cover too.
Last few pages. So I'm just I'm actually working on page 11. Oddly enough, I've been jumping around all over.
I did notice that 11 was missing because this week I went to set up the pages to prep them for lettering, and I'm like, wait, where's page 11?
Yeah, you'll find the last 2 pages I do are 12 and 13, but or 13, 14 and 15. I'm not sure. I know I'm finishing before, and then I'm going back to do those 2 pages because I want to do.
Is there a reason for that?
There's a reason I'm doing 11 now, is because 11 is where you see a first glimpse of some high-tech suits.
Okay.
That appear on page 18. So I did page 18 so I could really figure out what the suits look like. So I can
Cool.
go back to page 11 and just sort of drop them in as a hints somewhere so they look the same as they do later.
That's a cool idea.
That's just because I didn't plan it out well enough. So
it's still a cool idea.
So yeah, but that's what I'm doing 11 now. And then it's page 19 to 22, and then page 13, 14, I think.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
I asked that Pete because it one of the things that I would do as an editor when I would get a new inker penciler team, I would often ask the inker to start on page 6 or 7. I would say, hey, you've never inked this penciler before. Don't start on page 1 because this is the first page the fans are going to see, and you're still trying to figure it out. So, hey, skip forward and start on page 6, 7, 8, something like that. So you can kind of, get your bearings on what you feel like over the penciler and kind of work out the rough parts. And that way they're not at the very front of the book for, if you don't quite jive really early on. And
yes, good idea.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been a great idea to say, to somebody when you gave them a gig on a book at a convention.
I feel pretty sure I said that to you.
No, yes, you didn't. I would have remembered that.
I feel pretty sure I said that to you live when I handed you the pages.
Come on.
I feel pretty sure I said you should probably start on about page 10 or 11 so that you can get a feel for it, and it's not the first pages.
Yep,
Mom,
you didn't.
Dad, stop fighting, Mom and Dad.
We're all artists on here, which means none of us are good at mathematics. None of us can really count. So, I mean, it's like this is common. That's why I was just thinking Peter was saying, why are you in page 11? He's like, I can't count, dude. I'm not good at math.
Well, that brings up the next person on the list that's over here. John, tell everybody who you are.
I'm John Martin. Otherwise, I guess I'm the Prince Voltan Viking person of the group.
Brett, I hope you still have that image.
Which one?
Prince Voltan.
No, Brett, no.
Oh.
Yes. I'm on page 15 on the second issue of Friar Rush, so
Sweet.
Not too far away from being done with that one. Of course, I've also done some sketch cards here and there, and this all around just messes with ink and ruin paper.
Excellent. And next up on the list, you know what? My things are backwards. Is Roberta Conroy? Roberta,
hey. Hi.
Say hi
I'm
to
Roberta
everybody.
Conroy. I'm a graphic designer during the day and living in Los Angeles. I'm just a colorist for the next issue of Cat and Mouse and the soon to be named Champion of Miss Fury.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm a former Malibu colorist.
That's right.
Joining this new Silverline crew. So anyway, hi.
Sweet. All right. And last but not least, there at the very bottom of my picture, there is Wubba. Uh-oh, he's connecting to audio. He may not hear me. What's up, Wubba? Can you hear me?
He looks very serious. So
he looks like he's trying to figure out the computer. It's like he looked like he's trying to click. Why can't I hear anything? What's going on? Wubba! We're here.
Run!
Yeah, you can see him. All right, so Wubba is obviously having technical difficulties. So as soon as he gets all that worked out, we'll give him a minute and let him introduce himself. For the moment, though, Brett, pop up the merch of the week. We have got merch of the week, and it's one of my personal favorites. And of course, when you see it, you'll understand why. And I don't understand why my wife hasn't gotten this for me yet. I don't understand. I'm like, why don't I have that? Why am I drinking out of this when I could be drinking out of oh, I'm covered up. Huh? When I could be drinking out of that, right? I want to drink out of that, not this. It is a demon mug. So, and it's an image that is penciled ink. I think he colored it too. I'd have to go back and check my files. By Alex Gallimore, who will be as soon as he's finished with this fourth issue of Cat and Mouse, which he's already working on. He'll be penciling a new Demon's Tales miniseries. So I'm excited
that's
about
cool.
that. Yeah, he told me he was excited to draw some mad scientist, which is going to be part of the next story. So, Wubby, you got your technical issues worked out?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Holy crap!
All right, Wubba, it's your turn. Tell everybody who you are.
Boba Fett, and I am just a penciler on the upcoming Cat Mouse.
Some sweet looking stuff too. Yep. Hopefully, Brett, were you showing the intro images? You forgot to do that, didn't you? I'm gonna have to smack you around a little bit, slacking on your job. All right. Oh, well, you know what? That's what happens when you go and take your girlfriend out for her birthday, and then you leave it up to me to do all the stuff. I can't figure out what's going on. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well. So before we dive back into part 2 of video games, I'm gonna hold up a little tease for you, but you can't read it. So right here, this is my working list for Silverline, our convention schedule for Comic Conway. So Comic Conway is a fantastic convention in Conway, Arkansas. I was a guest there last year in 2019, and fantastic show. Just a great show. Had a blast. Great convention organizers, fantastic people there. They love comics, which is, the kind of conventions I like to do. Not trying to trash the conventions that focus on media, but that's just not me. That's not my show. I like comic books. I'm a comic book guy. So
you like actual comic conventions.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Go figure, huh?
That's one of the reasons I love our local show here, the Daytona Daytona Beach Comic Book Convention, is because it's a comic show. Awesome. Everybody knows the big one here that's MegaCon. It gets, thousands of people. And it is a big show. And I'm not gonna say that it's not worth going to, but Daytona Beach Comic Con, the dealers area was probably, and I'm guessing here, probably 1/4 the size. And there were more comic books at Daytona Beach than there were at MegaCon.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. It's one of those shows that when you go as a guest, you're looking around and thinking, can I get away from my table and go shop for a little bit? You know, because I want to go to, I see some, I'm a big fan of the cheap boxes, right? And I'm like, I see some dollar boxes over there that I really need. They're calling my name, and it's a lot of fun. But Comic Conway is a fantastic show, and we're going to be doing, we're still working on the schedule, which is kind of what this is, but they're going to be, they've gone all online this year because, we're in the middle of the plague. And so they're going to do it 3 weekends, November 7th, November 14th, and November 21st. Those are Saturdays, and the Silverline block is essentially from 10 to 2. So we're going to have 4 panels a day, like 10, 11, 12, and 1. And so we're going to have all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about comic book writing. We're going to talk about breaking in. We're going to have some highlights on our individual titles that we're working on. We're going to talk about penciling. We're going to do stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to it. Some fantastic folks at Comic Conway, and I'm pretty excited about that. So before we dive into part 2 of video games, anybody have anything to add before we dive into our topic? No.
So I don't play too many video games.
Yeah.
So, just watch me draw, perhaps, rather than listen to me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, those are the things, Peter, where instead of the screen moving on its own, you can make the screen move.
Yeah.
That's
Brett,
right.
Highlight Pete while we talk. That's fine. We can be small. People want to watch him draw anyway. They don't want to see our faces.
First time I've heard that.
You can hide mine. All right then. So video games. So did we talk about handhelds last week at all?
Yeah.
I think you asked
we
us
did,
that,
yeah.
and I can't remember. I think we did.
I think we were.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of relatively nobody did handhelds, right?
I used to
Not too
back in the
much,
day,
yeah.
but not anymore.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if I forgot to turn the chat on. But give me just a second. It's funny
Oh.
because I was listening to the Wednesday gang, right? And I had dropped these little hints. And Thomas Formonti, who's been a long-time friend of mine, I went with him to San Diego a couple years back. Curtis, you remember this. And he had his phone and he put up that Pokemon Go, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, I just laughed at him because I'm like, dude, you playing Pokemon Go on your phone? Because everywhere we'd go, he'd pull that thing out. Oh, there's one over there. I got to go get it, right? And we're walking on. We're in the bus, right? He's like, oh, we're coming up on some in the bus, right? And he's playing a whole thing. And so I mentioned this, in the chat in last week's stream, and he's like, oh, I didn't play that. I didn't play that. I'm like, dude, you played it. You need to own it. But yeah.
It's funny. I remember they had problems with people trespassing with that
Yeah.
game.
Oh,
They
yeah.
would go into like people. It's like, what are you doing? It's like catching Pokemon.
See,
Well, then
Michael.
people were using it to rob people. I mean, people were like setting the lure to attract Pokemon and then waiting there to rob the people when they showed up.
Really?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
That's
Yeah, it was like a thing,
I remember one of their excuses was, this is a video game, but it's a way to get people outside and moving.
So's your feet.
Yeah. See, Michael said there was when all that was going on, there was like a graveyard in front of his home or something like that. And he goes, there was one of these Pokemons out in the middle of the graveyard. He goes, you see people out there with their phones walking around the graveyard.
So weird.
It's like that geocaching.
Yeah.
You'll know anybody that
people
does
still
that?
do that.
Oh, they do.
My cousin. I think my cousin did that for a little while, but I wasn't sure if he left the packages or he just found them. I think they go back and forth. I think once you find one, I think then you have to leave one. I don't know, but I remember him doing that for a while.
Yeah, you're supposed to take something and get something or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I had I worked with somebody in the teaching job I was at before I came here, and she did it all the time. She did it like every weekend, and I'm like, but why? Why? Because she would show me some of the stuff she would get, and I'm like, it's just junk. People,
it's nothing valuable.
Yeah, it's like somebody went to the flea market or a garage sale and bought up a bunch of 10-cent crap off the table. And that's what they started putting in all the geocaches. You look, I got this little stupid little what were those little dolls with the hair?
The troll doll.
The
thing.
troll, yeah. Got a little troll thing in the box, and I'm like, really? You geocached for that?
Well, I know somebody who did it too.
Yeah, I think it's more the thrill of finding it, but they could add, some better things, like booze or something, Thanks, man.
Yeah, put it in the little hotel boozes, right?
Yeah, little bottles.
Yeah, because they're not very big. They're usually like the size of a cigar box or something like that.
Yeah, they're supposed to be really small. Yeah,
caches.
But
so so Thomas Formonti just said, I never play Pokemon Go. Yeah. Yeah. Cameron Christopher Payne says, man, I wish I could draw. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
We all feel that way.
Yeah.
Draw. Who
it's
draw?
fun to watch them though, right? All right, so let's go ahead and let's fast forward to today then. What games, except Pete, we know Pete doesn't play games. Pete, there's some kind of weird thing. Your video is kind of weird. There's some weird thing on your head.
That's his phone.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, his phone is on a.
That's my tripod.
Yeah.
So when he puts his head in front of you, see this rod or whatever.
Oh yeah, okay. It looks like there's some square coming. No. We gotta lean forward towards your board. Yeah, there you go.
That's it. That's his phone.
I'll turn Mordor off for you. And
So all right, so let's fast forward to today. And Moby, you got a lot of catching up because you weren't with us last week. Roberta, you were here last week, weren't you?
I
I
was.
think she came
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did.
So, what are you playing today? What do you play today, and on what platform?
I guess I'll start since nobody else is
Okay.
saying anything. Right now, I'm playing God of War, the remake where he's in, where it's got the Nordic mythology. And it's, of course, on PS4. I will be playing when it comes out the 10th, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh yeah, the Viking one. Yeah.
Oh man, it looks awesome.
I downloaded the Assassin's Creed. They had a little freebie one time. This goes back probably a year ago. I downloaded it, and it was too powerful for my computer.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I would get those choppy looks,
Just stop and start.
and I'm like, yeah, I can't play this game. I'm like, yeah, I really want to. It's kind of the same way on PUBG, which is what Brett plays a lot. I enjoy I'm not very good at it. I enjoy playing with him, really, but the game,
You're not very good at it.
Brutal.
So the
Tell
game,
it like it is.
No, see, y'all can't hear. Brett said
No, they
you
heard that.
Oh, you did. Oh, so you figured that out, huh? Yeah. So Brett's in. He drops in, and he's going and picking up all the stuff, and I'm still waiting for the houses to load in. Right. I'm standing there, and I'm like, I don't see anything, Brett. There's no door here, right? And there's a door there, but it hasn't loaded in my computer yet because my computer's too slow. And I just can't. I can't shoot anybody. I'm always behind them, and it's funny because it's like obviously I'm from the South, so we hunted, and he's like, Dad, you got to lead them. I'm like, son, I know how to lead something. I know what you're talking about. But my computer, I'm just always behind them because I just can't keep up with it on the computer.
He's operating at 20 frames per second while everybody else is operating at 120 frames per second.
The fact that it shows up on your Commodore at all is, I think, a testament.
My Commodore.
Hey, I got that one. I got that.
Peter's like, I got that reference.
I got that. I got that reference.
Burn of the night goes to Aaron.
That kind of night.
Yes, it is.
It might be.
It started for Rolling Thursday.
Oh my goodness. So Cameron Christopher Payne says that ish is nice. I agree, Cameron, and I can't wait until we get it finished and we're able to complete it and kickstart it and get it into your hands, because I think you're gonna like it. Just from what I've seen, it is a sweet looking page. I guess Roberta, you saw that I snuck page 1 over into your folder, right?
I saw it there. I sure did.
Oh,
like,
good.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it sweet?
It started out just amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Brittany Man says, "Oof, what I would give to be related to Roland Man." Oh wait. All right, sweetheart.
Suck up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did they hear that, Brett?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Nita Taylor Lanning said there were tons of Pokemon. Okay, this is what I was telling you guys earlier. There were tons of Pokemon in the cemetery across from our old apartment. It was hilarious watching them at night. Who gets caught first, player by police or the Pokemon? Oven says, I like playing Among Us on mobile. Have y'all played any of y'all played any of that?
I know a bunch of people who play it.
Yeah, Brett, give us like the 30-second what Among Us is. I've seen Brett playing it.
It's like Mafia, except the people who don't kill others have tasks that they can do, and they're called imposters. They're the ones that kill you. They have like these little vents that they can escape through, and also fake tasks that they can act like they're doing in order to deceive everybody. So.
Drax is coming now.
Yeah.
So what's Mafia?
Mafia is where you it's the cards, right?
Yeah.
You know that, John. Come on, man. You're in Memphis. You should know this. You deal out the cards, and I forget what it is. One of them is one of them's a killer, one of them's a sheriff. Everybody else are just people, and you wander around rooms, and the mafia person is trying to get the people alone in a room so they can kill them. And the sheriff is trying to figure out who's killing all the people, and the people are trying to figure out who the killer is. And
Look, Roland, you could explain Among Us.
that's Mafia. All right,
Basically what
so
it is.
That's Mafia.
Yeah, so so I know that nobody that I work with watches the stream.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh no.
No, it's okay. When I say nobody that I work with, you guys obviously, right? But I'm talking about in my faculty, right? So
Well, we're gonna have to fix that.
No. So I will tell you this. I have enjoyed the heck out of online faculty meetings. They beat in-person faculty meetings because when one of them just goes off on a tangent, you know what? I can just pop up YouTube and start watching and ignore them. I really like online faculty meetings. I hope that doesn't change when the plague goes away. I have a feeling it will though. But anyway, so one of them suggested, "Hey, have any of you played Among Us?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I think I know that. I think that's the game I saw Brett playing once, and he was explaining to me." So I Googled it real quick, and that's what it was. And he said, "We should do that at our next faculty meeting." I'm like, "Oh no, what? No. I don't want to be here to begin with. I don't want to play a game with you guys." Anyway, yeah. So what else? Cameron Christopher Payne says, "I'm on COD, and I'm chasing them off like chickens in my yard." COD, what is that?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Come on.
Call of Duty.
Even I know that.
Peter even knew that. He doesn't play video games.
Peter knows that. He's like, I don't even play games.
Come on.
Listen, there are so many abbreviations for so many games that I just don't. I can't keep up with them all. And then, of course, he then replies to Anita Taylor Lanning, says, "In Washington, you find people flipping over cow patties. It's similar." So, all right. So, John, that was John. Who else?
I'm playing the newest Doom, and then I'm flipping back between Doom and Doom Eternal. And then I got done playing the Doom 64. Been going through Doom. And then after that, it's back to... I'm so behind. I buy games, and like I bought Neo 2, still sitting there. Bought Ghost of Tsushima, still sitting there. I'll get to him, but I'm playing Doom right now. I'll get through him, yeah.
So now...
I've been thinking about playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Now, what platform is this on?
Oh, this is all PlayStation 4 stuff.
PlayStation 4, okay.
Yeah.
Same for you, John?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, playing God of War on.
Cool.
So,
Yeah,
Curtis?
I play. I'm PS4 guy, and happy to announce I was able to score a PS5, so that should be coming in the mail soon. I hope.
I usually wait till the next year to get a new system, just because every time I try to pre-order, I'm like, I'm not going through that. I'll wait till after Christmas and they all come in, and they're all sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally looked out, and so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, the games I'm playing a ton of Red Dead Redemption 2 online, like all the time. That's my jam.
I never played that. I played the first Red Dead. I'd like to play the second one. I should get around to it.
Yeah, the online one's just amazing. The graphics are insane. It's like total world building. There's so much cool stuff you can do in there. And I never thought I'd be into playing a cowboy video game, but I'm like absolutely.
Oh, you're really gonna like the Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I'm super obsessed with it.
That's what you get for falling for the stereotypes, Curtis.
I know. And I just love that game. I like the Rockstar games. I play GTA Online also.
Yeah, that's been around forever.
Yeah. My martial arts students want to join me on it. I said, you don't want to see what type of person I am in these video games. Because I am not a nice person. I'm a bad man. So yeah, those are my
suck it there.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
look
yeah.
He
shit.
said he's a complete pacifist, but we found out that's a lie.
Oh yeah. Well, and I live in LA, and GTA the GTA 5 is like based on LA. It's so true
Oh,
to
is
LA.
it?
You can find you can find like the exact freeway exits and everything. Like it's so similar. So I mean, if you're stressed out and you've been driving on the Sepulveda Pass and somebody's been tailgating you, when you get home, just hop online and cleanse the city. It's great. It's like, I can't even recommend it enough. So yeah.
Can you find your house and everything in it?
No,
Does
but
it
I
go
can
to
find
suburban?
Santa Monica Pier. Santa Monica
Really?
Pier is
Oh,
in it.
wow.
Yeah. And here's the disturbing thing about the Grand Theft Auto games is it's hard. There's so much dissonance between when you play and when you're actually in real life. So I'll be driving down the Santa Monica Pier in the video game, of course, running over hot dog stands and bystanders and like just going off the pier. And then
Bringing
the
his
next I don't
driver's
live far
license.
from it. Yeah, and then I'll be driving there with my wife on the weekend, and I'm going by the Santa Monica Pier, and I just have this sudden urge to like, it's like that scene in Doctor Strange, where, like my hand wants to go up and switch this way, So, but yeah, but
Sweat
I love
starts
her.
rolling off your
I
temple.
know.
Oh yeah,
And she's like, Curtis, why are you sweating? I'm fighting the urge.
exactly.
Well,
So, yeah,
we're
but,
learning a little bit about Curtis today.
Yeah.
Everybody has a dark side.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Curtis, right? That smile will never go away. He's doing
And,
the whole wahoo with the smile, right?
There you go.
So,
Well,
what games are you getting for the PlayStation 5?
I'm definitely. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm gonna get the Spider-Man Miles Morales game.
Oh, yeah, that one looks
and
cool.
and if you guys haven't played Spider-Man for PS4, it is hands down one of the best superhero games ever made. And
Yeah,
the
I like
story is probably one of the best adaptations of Spider-Man I've seen. Hands down, it is so good. They just get it. I see Mike nodding. So I think I got
yeah, I played it too.
Mike,
I agree.
Yeah. What do you guys think? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Because I love that game.
I actually, the probably thing I like swinging around, so that was always once they got the swinging down. I really like the Spider-Man. I tend to probably edge out Arkham Knight a little more as far as, but that's just because. But Batman is really more about atmosphere. Spider-Man is to a degree, but I mean, once you put Gotham in, there's I don't know. That would be. I think it's because I probably played more Arkham and I played Spider-Man once. But I used to go back to the old. I remember there was this really. One of my I played this one over was this Incredible Hulk game that was based on a movie. The game wasn't really that good, but apparently they got it down really well just to beat the crap out of stuff. So I had played that game way too much, and that's happened to me before. Where like people are like, this game sucks. I'm like, according to you, but for some odd reason, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So I don't know why, but that one was one of them that I really liked. So, but the Spider-Man one was really well done. It seemed like a culmination of so many of the other Spider-Man games they've done that they finally nailed.
Very much, yeah, they hit it.
Now, Mike, do you play it on the PlayStation 4 also?
It's exclusive to PlayStation, so that's the only thing you can play it on. But you can tell the finesse on it. I mean, you can tell they take the time on it. The movements. The story was really good. I enjoyed the story quite well, but definitely the mechanics. Past Spider-Man games haven't been bad. They had some rough years here and there, but this one, I have to agree with Curtis. It nailed it. I mean, it was every bit what you would think playing a Spider-Man game was. I mean, I enjoyed the Arkham games. I mean, Arkham City is probably my favorite of that bunch. But as far as a Spider-Man game, yeah, you couldn't get better. I mean, that's just top of the line. It's just yeah.
Yeah, and they even had all the extras with all the different costumes. I mean, you'd have like the Iron Spider suit. You had the 1970s animated version Spider-Man suit. I mean, it was unreal. But if anybody's interested, even if you don't have a PlayStation, I know a lot of people throw stuff up on YouTube of like playthroughs or just the cinematics. If you want to just see the story is so good. I bet you somebody probably.
Are you gonna play it again on PlayStation 5?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think it comes with the game. Isn't it like a digital download with the Miles Morales game? Something like that.
Yeah. If you pay a little extra money, you get the new version of it, the updated version. But the funny thing is and I'd be curious what anybody thinks of this, is they changed the actor's face. It's a completely different actor face. And everybody's saying like, oh, I don't understand why. It's so obvious that there was some type of contractual issue where this guy wouldn't be in the sequel game. That's just my opinion, and that they just phased him out. That's what my thoughts are.
But he's hardly ever in Peter Parker mode anyways. I mean, he is, but not as much as Spider-Man, so I didn't see what the big deal was. I thought he actually looked closer to Peter Parker, the new one, than the old one.
Yeah.
especially
he
with the
does,
hair
yeah.
kind of like dressed neater. He looked more kind of like the nerdy type of guy that Peter Parker was.
Yeah, that's you talking about the changing the actor. You know, that's what you know when oh help me somebody help me think of his name. The Black Panther.
Oh,
Chadwick.
yeah,
Chadwick
Chadwick.
Boseman.
Chadwick. But you know, when he died, you know, there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, you know, don't replace him, don't replace him." And of course, I'm exactly the opposite. Is like, no, you need to replace him because the Black Panther character is more important than the actor itself.
Right.
And yes, I think he was fantastic. I think he was a great Black Panther. That's not what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I think it would be sad to say, well, we're not going to do this character anymore simply because the actor's gone. It's like, no, there are a lot of really good actors out there who could probably step up and do a good job. And the character, I think, needs to live on.
Okay. Well,
You know,
they could just write it as a story that something happened to him and somebody has to take up the mantle of the Black
yeah.
Panther.
Well, you know, one of the suggestions, and I haven't followed Black Panther, you know, in Marvel Comics in years. One of the suggestions is his sister. Apparently, his sister
Yeah.
becomes a Black
I
Panther.
think that would be a cool
She
idea.
He
does.
did in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I thought she was really good. I enjoyed her a lot in the movie as well. The actress.
Yeah. I
You
think
know,
her
the
name
character.
was her character name was
Shuri,
Shuri.
I think. Yeah, I think
Shuri,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she would be like a natural just a way to like just extend it into it. Because she had like they look like paws or claws,
Yeah.
like these gloves. You can add that into the suit
Sure.
or
She wasn't
whatever,
very
something.
big. But I mean, it's movies. You know, they can figure that out.
But I actually think it'd be cooler if she was smaller and more sleek, more agile. It'd be a different contrast to Chadwick's
Yeah.
character is big, bulky, or kind of make her small, more like agile.
Well,
Cameron
you got to keep
says-
in mind too. In the movie, they didn't block what's his name, M'Baku, from going towards Syria. They blocked Syria from going at M'Baku.
Oh, that's right.
Cameron says he's waiting on Ghost of Tsushima Legends
Yeah.
also. And he says the FF7 remake.
Yeah, they put the part 1. I keep looking at that, but I'm one of these guys with Square Enix. I'm like, when you finish the whole thing, then I'll buy it because there's a part of me.
No,
It's like,
you need to go ahead and play the first part. I have it.
is it worth it? Because I keep playing it and I'm like, because I'll finish it and then it'll be like 6 more years till part 2 comes out or something. I love Square, but they're slow.
Kind of like an Image comic.
Yeah, a little bit.
Once you get on it,
did I say that out loud?
once you
Making
get on
friends.
it, once you get on it, you'll see why it took them so long.
Okay. I think my friend has it, and I talked to him, and I have so many games that the one that I was excited for PlayStation 5 is they're remaking Demon Souls. And I figured that out like the first scene when that trailer came out for the announcement. I'm like, oh, it's Demon. She's like, how do you know? And I'm like, I played that game a lot. So I recognize that right away. Yeah. So
yeah, Steve Halsey said the Black Panther character changes people in the book anyways, and it's meant to change as time goes on. So yeah, it'd be a natural thing. And then Cameron said FF7 is still $59, it's still $60 too. So yeah, that's a pricey game. So that's a good question. Is there a price point at which you guys won't? You know, one of the things we talk about in comics a lot is the prices, and that's probably a whole other show that we can get into. But is there a price point for you for games when you go, that's a little bit too much for me to pay? Or
any EA game?
What's that, Mike?
Any EA game?
How bad you want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also like the type of game, right? You know, you have the AAA games, right, and then you have the indie games, and then now the thing that I think is a big point of contention is games as a service, right? That's the kicker. Like the Avengers game, for a comic book show, Avengers game is like plummeting because people paid what they thought was like a AAA price, which should be a complete game. The thing was buggy as heck. And there's tons of things behind a paywall.
Really?
Right? So and so it's plummeted in popularity. It's only been out for maybe a month, and they were talking about keeping this thing around for like 10 years, and already people are disappearing so much that there's not enough people online to play it together.
Wow,
that's how bad it
that's
is.
Who made
bad.
that? Who made that?
Because
That was
Crystal
yeah,
Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics,
I
and
think, was
then
the
yeah,
developer.
didn't Square have something to do with it? Yeah,
Square Enix. Yeah, they're the publisher, I think,
Yeah.
Square Enix, you know. And but also there's the whole thing, if you guys are familiar with loot crates and all that stuff, which is or as they say, what do they call it? Surprise mechanics. That's what
Surprise
the industry is
mechanics.
calling it now. instead of gambling.
Oh,
it's
that's
surprise
funny.
mechanics. So,
Well, I mean that should be the thing.
Yeah,
I mean that.
yeah.
I mean,
So-
but so many people, so many of those service games have been successful if you play for free, and then you can buy stuff online. And for now, people start charging a $60
Yeah.
entrance fee plus the pay. It's like, okay, that's because you see people who do lots of live services and then make tons of money. I never played the games as a service game just because I eventually like my games to end some sort of satisfactory conclusion. I don't have time to be like, you'll be on this for years, and I'm like, no, that's cool.
Well,
but that's the thing, is it's free to play is pay to win.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because the whole pay to win thing is very much a derogative statement amongst a lot of gamers I know, because you guys probably heard me talk a little bit before. Brett and I play this game called Heroes and Generals, and it's a World War II game where you can, when you go in, you can select to be Germans, the Allies, or the Russians, right? And it's a grinding game. So you start off as an infantryman with a basic rifle, and the longer you play, the more points you get. You can get better weapons. You can get better, ammunition. You can outfit your gun better. The longer you play, then you can get a promotion, and you can become a tanker and drive tanks. Then you can eventually become a pilot, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can do all these things, but obviously, if you drop cash, you can go right to, oh, I just want to be a pilot, cash, right? And so and of course the armies are kind of, I've never made it that far to know, but the armies are also kind of done that way. They get points based on who the generals are, and the generals get to place the resources around. And it's often, in game, you often hear people talking about, play to win, and that, or pay to win. I'm sorry, pay to win. And that's not necessarily in the most endearing emoticons placed with it.
No.
Totally. I mean, it's kind of like the whole idea of video games is escapism, right? And in the real world, if you have a bunch of cash, it's amazing how fast you can progress in things, right? So I don't want to escape to a place where it's the exact same thing, Yeah, I was playing Red Dead the other day, and there was some guy who was like usually the highest level that you start getting is like 120 or something like that. There was somebody that was like over 400, right? And somebody posted an image of him, and all it said on the bottom is, it said, "How do you kill that which has no life?" But I'd be curious what I don't know if Rec can chime in, but as a competitive gamer, what his thoughts are on that, because that's a whole that's like the pro league, right? I mean, that's a whole different level. I mean, I don't know.
I think it doesn't PUBG. Brett plays PUBG. Isn't that the same kind of model for that?
I guess I missed the model.
Yeah.
The whole pay to win thing.
That you can pay to level up and stuff.
Oh no, you cannot pay to level up in PUBG. PUBG's a RNG based game where it's kind of luck if you land on a specific weapon, luck depending on where the zone shifts to. In competitive, the loot settings are buffed a lot, so everyone has the general opportunity to get the weapons that they want, the equipment that they want. The only thing that isn't necessarily 100% for certain is like where the zone shifts to. And so just finding strategic spots to hold and just kind of using your best estimate as to where you think the next zone will end up is where you just kind of get into the competitive sense of it. And just being able to outshoot everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So anybody else? Because if not, I'm gonna launch into the game that I've been playing for the last year and a half.
Well,
Don't let them do that.
Really quickly.
What, Roberta?
Yeah, my godson is 6, and I'm trying to introduce him to everything I enjoyed on the PlayStation 3. So,
Which
going
which
through
includes what?
well, Portal was a really big favorite. I really loved it, and so we got Portal and Portal 2, and we finished that. I introduced him to Minecraft, and he loves that.
Yeah.
But eventually it gets a little bit too repetitive. Because he comes up with something he wants to make in creative mode, and then he's like, I don't really want to play with the monsters right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, I guess some of the first-person shooters were not as engaging for his age group. So I got Little Big Planet 3 on download, and it is so fun and so robust. There's just so many little things to it. Great music. And these little sock puppet characters are just really cute.
Yeah.
And it's harder than it looks. It really is.
Yeah. I'm into all those. Are all my bit. I used to Sly Cooper. It was like a huge. I love those games. I'm still happy they're making a Ratchet and Clank. I still can't believe they're making them for PlayStation 5. I'm like, yay. Insomniac, I know it's making Spider-Man, but they took time out to make another Ratchet and Clank.
And they the remake of Crash Bandicoot pretty awesome too.
Yeah. I like those old masks.
And there's a new Crash
Yeah.
Bandicoot coming out. Yeah.
I like those old classic mascot games.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Roberta, that was all on the PlayStation 3?
Yeah, that was all on the 3, and I haven't upgraded to the 4. Just I might,
Yeah.
but it's not really top priority right now.
Well,
I'm waiting for the 5 to get down in price a little bit, and then I'll go for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you may have to wait on that because it's the 5 is out now, right?
Now, if the PlayStation 4 was backwards compatible with all my games, I totally would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I never
5
upgraded.
Yeah.
5 is backwards compatible, but only to 4.
Only the 4, yeah.
But if you're interested in getting the 4 games, wait till 5.
Yeah.
So my PlayStation 2 games, I'm just.
When is the actual date PlayStation 5 is launching? Have they announced an actual street date yet?
November 12th at 8 a.m.
Oh my God!
Not that I'm checking.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. Okay, Curtis.
What comes out November 12th? What? I missed something.
Apparently the second.
Supposedly that's what the PlayStation.
Is Xbox releasing the same day, or are they staggering the release dates?
Comes out. I think they're coming out. I think roughly.
That's usually what they do.
I don't know. Yeah.
Of course, it helps that Curtis, you spent several years in the video game industry, so.
Yeah, and I was gonna just mention kind of to get on the soapbox just briefly, as somebody that worked in games for quite a while and still knows people working it. The amount of work that these guys do. I mean, everybody in the creative industry does a crazy amount of work, and I've mentioned before, like at the worst, I spent 6 months without a day off, right, doing things, and I know in the comic book industry people do the same thing. That the thing about video game industry that people should appreciate about the creative side of it is. These people work in an office, so it's different when you're freelancing. At least if you're at home, you at least get to say hi to your wife or things like that. But if you're having to sleep under your desk and not go home for weeks at a time, so whenever you play a game, especially these AAA games, always just appreciate the creativeness because these people put just so much work into it. You have no idea, and just much respect to anybody that's still in the
That's
industry.
usually why I try to pay full price for most of my games when they come out if I want to play them. And stuff. Because I mean, like I said, I was actually went to the Art Institute, was doing 3D modeling, looking into maybe going to the video game industry, and then when I found out what it was like, I'm like, I'm too old for that stuff. I got to go home after work. I can't be living at the office. So I'm like, okay, I think I missed that window a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I thought that it may have changed by now, but from what I hear, it's exactly the same. I mean, I think for us, just quick war story. We worked like 6 months again without a day off, right? Like 14-hour days in the office, and at the end, our boss goes, "Okay, it's time for you to get your bonus." He goes, "But first, we're going to have this big show of force that we completed." So we go, "Okay, so there's a hill behind us," and he wants to like recreate Iwo Jima of all things.
Plant a flag.
Yeah, so he has a flag with the Copenhagen logo, and he has everybody run up the hill. Well, everybody is completely out of shape.
Yeah.
Pale as all heck. Because of my martial arts background, I was training still like 3 hours a day in the middle of the night just to keep my body. So everybody's running up the hill. I just walk up calmly because I know they're all going to tank out. And halfway through, everybody's falling apart. And we get up to the top, and we plant this stupid flag on top. And the boss goes, "Okay, here's your prize for doing this. Oh gosh, we're gonna get a big bonus or something." He has one bottle of water, and he goes, "Pass it around. Everybody have a sip. You need it for the walk back down."
No way.
Yeah. And then when we got to the bottom, he goes, "All right, we discussed it. We're gonna give you a bonus." So you go, "Okay, overtime for," and again, just so everybody understands, when you're doing overtime in video games, it's not like a per page rate, right? You're doing work as a salary person. So eventually you're making like $3 an hour, right? So if we think, we're gonna get a couple grand or something, or some type of pay, percentage. For Christmas, we got a stocking with $101 bills for 6 months without a day off in ones. And I guess he thought if he put it in ones, we would think it was
it would feel big. Wow, this feels like $101 bills.
Yeah, exactly. So again,
wow, that sounds like a boss I'd actually take back behind the woodshed and have a few moments with.
Oh, believe me, that's thoughts I had. Hence GTA, right? GTA let it all out.
Right.
Yeah.
GTA wouldn't have worked for me at that point. I've been like, hey boss, hey, can I talk to you back here for a second? Somebody call an ambulance for him, please.
Yeah, it's strangely enough. It's why I remember they used to, when I was looking at the Institute of Art Institute, they get so many of those kids. I think it was a 3-year burnout. I don't know if the 3-year burnout is still the general, but they get so many kids, and they would pay them like that. They would pay them either salary or so little, and it's like, yeah, but they're so eager to work on video games that they'll do it for so little. And I just kind of felt bad for them. I'm like, you guys are kind of getting taken advantage of a little bit. At least I felt like. So
exactly, 5 years is after 5 years you're a bona fide veteran.
5 years.
Wow. Just because of all the hours, right?
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah, and the fact that you've lost some of your soul.
Yeah.
That's a problem in most creative industries as it is. They take advantage of the creators.
Yeah.
And the artists for some strange reason. Like, you wouldn't have your freaking movies if it wasn't for us. Dang it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
They know we love it.
Yeah, right.
Which is why most of us end up doing it anyway, right? We do it because we love it, and we all. I mean, there's so many other things we can do to make more money, and yet we find ourselves gravitating back towards this anyway, right? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's just my soapbox. I just wish the world would stop taking advantage and start treating it like it's an actual job that people actually could work also. Yeah. It actually takes skill. It's not just talent.
Yeah, and of course you see that a lot at conventions. I don't know how much you visual artists probably see it more than writers, but I know in conventions a lot of times people are come up and talk to you about the artwork, and it's like, oh, but all you're doing is drawing a head. Why you want to charge me money for that? You
ever heard the plumber analogy to that? This is like somebody asks a plumber to come to their house because they're having plumbing issues, and the plumber goes in, takes the wrench, taps the pipe once, and says that'll be $500. And they go, what? It only took 1 second for you to hit that pipe. And the plumber has to go, well, okay, first of all, it took me this long to drive here and to drive back. But it took me 35 years of experience to know to tap that and only take 1 second to do that.
Yep.
Right? It's like we don't, we don't measure it in terms of labor. We measure in terms of skill. And skill is acquired over a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Go ahead, Webba.
I was going to say on John's point that he was making, I heard something about the city of San Francisco is actually going to start paying actual artists like $1,000 a month or something like that. Because it's so that
moving
or just like for unemployment or something like that. I have to read the article again, but they're validating that it's an actual profession.
Wow. That's cool.
So we need to all move to San Francisco.
I know the it's influx.
Hey, listen, I've been in California during an earthquake. I'm not going back. I'm sorry. It ain't happening. Yeah, and I think that, there's so
He's
many
fine with the
people.
hurricanes.
Yeah, I've been here 10 years and, I'm
Yeah.
in the middle of the state. So it's
Yeah.
all the stuff around me
That gets
hit.
nailed.
Yeah.
He's at the eye of the storm. I never get anything.
Yeah. Knock on wood,
Yeah.
Shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sure it was earth shattering, and it just
Sure it was.
Good one.
Talking about getting compensated for work, basically, or value for your art. And
oh yeah, the comic fairies, right? It's one of these things where so many people, this you see it at conventions, right? So many people, if they come up and start questioning you, you start saying, well, there's someone who writes it, and then someone actually pencils it, and then someone, inks it, and then someone colors it, and then someone letters it, and then we have to get it printed. And once you kind of start going through that whole process, and if they're really, listening or paying attention, they're like, wow, I didn't realize so much went into it. Yeah, you just thought the comic book fairy showed up and said, ding, there's a comic book page, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that is so it has so much mystery. I mean, not to us because we do it, right? But to those who don't know, there's so much mystery surrounding it because all they know is they pick up a comic book and it's like, oh, look, this stuff is here. It's pretty cool. Someone had to spend hours doing this, and they don't think of that because, well, and I'll be honest with you, and this is a whole nother tangent we won't go down tonight, but a lot of the comics that you pick up and read, if you can read them in 5 minutes, I kind of get it. It's like, wait, I spent 5 minutes reading that? It must not have taken you very long to do it then.
Yeah. If you want to think of an overworked artist, just look at Peter there. I mean, just burn that image of Peter working nonstop.
Just nonstop. And at like 4 a.m. in the morning, right?
4 a.m. in the morning. There you go.
We've got the decorators in at the moment, hence why the room looks vacant. And he came in this morning and I was sat at my table, he was like, what, you even working on Sunday? So, well, yeah, I mean, you're working on a Sunday. You're working on a Sunday too. Are they do it in America? They make everyone work on the weekends. So no, America doesn't work 7 days a week. This is what I'm required to do.
It's funny. You're working on a Sunday. Yeah, but so are you.
Yeah, I know. You're actually decorated.
You're here doing your job, asking me about doing mine on the same day. Yeah. It is funny. All right, so let's Brett, you got Wayne Hall queued up there. All right, so those of you who have seen the show know that about every other week Wayne Hall comes in and he does a review of an independent comic. Unfortunately, Brett, what's he doing this week? I have forgotten.
Comics.
Anyway,
an indie comic.
It is an indie comic. He only ever does indie comics. Oh, Once in Future.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, that's very good.
Very cool. So, see, Wayne Hall's going to review it. Pete actually gives it a big glowing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, since Pete
already says rubbish now, but it's really good.
So we'll be back. Hang on. Watch this review from Wayne Hall, and then we'll be back right after Wayne is done.
Hi, this is Wayne Hall back again with a great book that you can order through your local shop. That's an indie book. And I have a great one for you this week. This time I actually don't have a physical copy of this. I actually have digital copies of this one, but I'm ordering this book right here. It's called Once in Future, and it's described this way. Let me read the description to you. When a group of nationalists use an ancient artifact to bring a villain from Arthurian myth back from the dead to gain power, retired monster hunter Bridget McGuire pulls her unsuspecting grandson Duncan, a museum curator, into a world of magic and mysticism to combat the deadly secrets of England's past that threaten its very future. It's a really interesting book. It has to do with Arthurian legend, which I'm always fascinated by. I'm sure some of you may remember Camelot 3000, which came up from DC a while back. It was about the Arthurian group that had now translated into the year 3000. This is set in the current times, and unfortunately for Bridget and Duncan, the folks from Arthur's Round Table are not necessarily as good as they used to be. We get to see Merlin, we get to see Arthur, we get to see all these other people, and it's a really romping adventure as far as things go with the various characters. I should mention Bridget is a rather old character, which is unusual in comics. Usually characters, Bridget McGuire, usually people are much younger. Now, Duncan, of course, is. He appears to be 20 or 30 as a museum curator. But Bridget is a senior, kind of about my age or older, and she has been devoting her life to this whole business about the Arthurian legends. There's a lot of action going on, a lot of things. We have Beowulf gets involved. We get all kinds of crazy and amazing action things happening to them. There's a girlfriend involved for Duncan, and she's getting pulled into this as well. It's I don't want to spoil too much because what's happening is these are getting to be quite a bit of struggle happening, and this is all, of course, based in England, which is the natural place for it. The writer is a guy by the name of Kieran Gillen, and I'm probably spelling it, or it's tough to spell. It's tough to pronounce, too. I may be butchering that. And the artist is Dan Mora, who used to do Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and is also good for the book Klaus that Grant Morrison does from Boom Studios as well. It's interesting things about the complicated truths of the history of England, the power of family to save the day, especially if that family has secret bunkers of ancient weapons and decades of experience hunting the greatest monsters in Britain's history. So there's a lot of really interesting things happening in this book. Because I'm part English, I always like to say I'm 3 parts English and 1 part Scotch, sort of like a bad drink. And because of that, I'm always fascinated by British things and what happens over there. It's just a well-done book. I think it's up to about issue number 13 right now. How I get the digital copies, I don't buy them through Comixology. What I do is, as a reviewer, I'm connected into certain groups that want their books to be reviewed. And so what they'll often do is they'll send out digital copies, and they have what's called watermarks on them, and that's to make sure you don't print them out or somehow try to print copies and make money yourself off of it. And I have been reading that book very regularly ever since the first issue. And there's a group that I belong to, and because we're reviewers, the head of the group sends out a zip file that contains a lot of these books, and that's usually in there, the ones in future. And the bad news, too, for me is I'd like to write a review of this book, but the website that I largely write for, majorspoilers.com, somebody or somebody's always beats me to the punch when it comes to reviewing this book. So I'm out on the outside. I can just say it's a great book. The art's interesting. It's a little craggy. The characters are well developed. Like I said, there's this interesting mix of a grandmother, sort of, and the museum curator and his girlfriend. And it just goes really quickly. Things happen along. Beowulf, like I said, is involved recently. I'm trying not to spoil too much because, that first trade is now out, and you can get it through Amazon. I know you can order it through your local shops. Boom Studios is not one of the main 3, so it's one of those ones that local shops really can get you, as well as the local issues, as they come out, the individual issues. So I would say if you really like Arthurian legend like I do, and you like to see how crazy things go on in today's world, and how sometimes the past isn't quite as good as we think it is. When these characters come back, they are quite nasty. Again, Merlin's involved, and other parts of the legend I'm less familiar with. And I'm trying really hard not to spoil this, but it's really something. But why don't we go ahead and get to the gradings, and that'll help me since I won't have to spoil too much. As far as the writing goes, I really like the writing. It's, Arthurian legend is something that interests me, so I'm not surprised that I find the writing really engaging. The characters are interesting, and there are people around the older lady that kind of help her, and they're interesting as well. So there's a lot of good characters. Like I said, there's a lot of fast-moving things happening, which is good and easy to read. So I'd have to give the writing an A. I think the writing is very good. The art, like I said, it's craggy. It's kind of interesting. I mean, you can see by the cover here that it's pretty interesting. You see the two main characters on the sword, and that person. We won't go into that, but there's the artwork's pretty good. I would like it to be a little less craggy, and I understand you're dealing with monsters and mythical things and all that, and so people probably want you to be craggy when you do that stuff, or a little sketchier. I'd like it if it was a little less craggy, so I'd have to give the artwork a B, I think, as far as that goes. Literary merit. This is where this book is going to shine because, Arthurian legend, and it couldn't be more literary than that. And they are doing a wonderful job of of filling in the gaps as to what's happened to the characters, let's say, since the legends were developed. More than that I won't say because it's got some really good stuff. But I have to say, as far as filling in and making this true to the original Arthurian legends, it's pretty good. Because it's set in modern times, it may not be something that's going to hold up over decades, but it's good now. I would read it now. It's a very good book. As far as his lettering, I always am critical of lettering, but this one I'll just give a B, and I think it's probably as good as they can do as far as that goes. But it's an interesting thing to me. I always butcher letters. I just don't think that they do it quite well. But oh well. The fun factor, the main character, the senior lady is. She has a very odd sense of humor, as some British folks do. She always says things that can be taken multiple ways, and it's very dark and unhappy the way she looks at things. So there is a fun factor, but like I said, it's not what I would consider. This is in no way a kid's book. Let me say that. But on the other hand, it's not too far an adult book. But there's a lot of really good things going on as far as that goes. The fun factor, I'd give it a B-. If you go for the dark humor of it, yeah, you'll probably like it. Overall grade, as a book that's out now, and it's an issue is just coming out this week, it's a very good book. I would have to give this an A to A- because the art influences me a little bit. But you can get Once and Future in your comic shop. Yes, you can. And if you like this kind of stuff, I'm guaranteed this is going to be a favorite of yours. When I see that I have a new issue in my little zip file, that's the first thing I go to and open up because it's just one of those great books. The first trade's out. Second trade's probably not far away. So I would say get Once and Future at your local shop. And keep reading your comics.
We're live.
Oh,
All right, so thank you, Wayne Hall, for that review of Once and Future. Before we kind of dive back in here, I've got a couple of comments we want to run over. Cameron Christopher Payne says, I've been reading Musashi 5 Rings while playing FPS game and can relate a lot his viewpoints. Musashi 5 Rings is
one of the best books.
So
of all time.
Musashi is the swordsman, right?
Yeah,
I've read a
the
Musashi
famous
book.
Japanese.
Yeah, it got thrown in the dungeon or something like that.
Well, before his later on in his life, he lived his whole life undefeated, and then before he died, he wrote this manual that he sent to his students, about his strategies for combat. And then it became such a book on strategy that in the 80s the Japanese were using it for business negotiations, and the American businessmen found out, and they would buy translations of this so they could counter the Japanese businessmen in terms of business strategy. It's a phenomenal book, and everybody should read it. And one of the cool things is it divides things into the 5 rings are 5 elements. So, fire, water, earth, and each of those are attributed to different characteristics of combat. But the cool thing is it has this concept called void. Void is the anti-matter, the absence. In other words, to have anything, you must know the opposite of it, right? So it's a short book, but yeah, great strategy book.
Yeah.
And it applies to Japanese business. When I was in Tokyo, it's exactly what they say in there. You never do the first move when you're fighting. You let the opponent do it, and then you react to it. So I was in a business meeting in Tokyo, and sure enough, you're just sitting in this business room, in this meeting room with these businessmen, and nobody's saying anything. They're waiting for you to say the first thing. And the dumb businessman will start talking and revealing himself. So it's like a cat and mouse game. But yeah, great.
Interesting.
I could just see the secretary. Yeah, 5 hours later, they're still sitting there. No one's in the board.
Still sitting there saying
Back.
it is
I know. They're still waiting.
Day 5.
Yeah, right. He says, "You guys are great. Thanks, Cameron, Christopher Payne.
Yes, thank you.
That." He says this helps with my comic book character creativity process. Yeah, I think whatever works with you, particular, because I know not everybody is the same. We've talked about different things like that, music and stuff like that before. I know I work. There's certain things that I can do really well with music, and I kind of need that. And there's some things I'm like, no, I can't listen to that because I need to focus.
And lately, I've been listening to Nordic folk music and Viking metal.
Yeah,
it's actually really good.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just it's John the Viking listening to Viking music. Yeah,
I know.
Why is that not a surprise?
Well, no,
he has this whole persona going on.
I had a friend that you wouldn't expect to listen to any of this. Well, I wouldn't say friend. I used to work with this person. You wouldn't expect them to listen to any of this stuff, and I see they're posting videos where they went to see Headlong in Las Vegas, which is one of these Nordic folklore bands.
Was that the one? There was one where this lady actually had this
painted up and
the veil over her face, and there's some antlers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's crazy. That was
those videos.
Cool band. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Cameron Christopher Payne says, "Once in future, I love it already." Kasisi, greetings. Oh, what's up, Kasisi? How you doing?
Kasisi.
And he says, "Yeah, Book of 5 Rings is cool." Royal Airships, Wardruna is a great Viking folk band. You'll love it.
Yes.
Okay. Tommy asked, does anyone like playing digital versions of traditional games, meaning things like chess, Uno, Risk, Stratego?
Yes.
Need somebody to play
Wubba does? What do you play?
Chess.
Yeah, are you looking for friends, Tommy? What do you play, Wubba?
Chess.
Chess? Really?
Chess and Mahjong. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
So now who do you...
Mahjong is really, yeah.
So when you're playing chess, do you play against an opponent or you play against a computer?
I just downloaded a Japanese version of chess that's actually playing against an opponent, but normally I just play against a computer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know my family participates. Well, I say my family, my mom and my sister, and I think my aunts, they have this thing that there are a lot of quiz things they do. I think one of them's called Quiz Up, maybe. I got wrapped up in it one Christmas, and you play and you compete against them, and however many questions you answer right, whatever, you get more points. But that's about the only thing that I do. Anybody else?
I know there's I think there's an app out there that I used to like to get to a lot of board games, but it's hard to find. My friends didn't. They played them. Their attention span didn't last as long as mine did. But I think there's actually one that plays with people to translate newer board games to this computer app where you can play them.
So you might be thinking, are you on Steam, Aaron?
No, I'm not. But
are any of you here on Steam?
Sounds like a drug.
Of course.
To roll it, yes, it is a drug.
Sounds like a drug. Well, that's
Steve.
all we do over here, Peter. You
Oh,
know
of
we're
course it
high
is.
every time we do this
That's
show.
right. We're Americans.
You work 7 days a week and do all that?
Yeah, that's right. We work all the time.
America.
Steam is, I guess it's just this computer platform, and which is kind of
Yeah.
taken over. If you want to play, games on the PC or even on the Mac, actually, because I have Steam open right now, in case we wanted to talk about it. Anybody listening, if you do play Steam games, you can find me. I'm just Roland Man at Steam. It also has my caricature there. But you might be talking about something called tabletop gaming, in
Maybe
which
that,
in which you can start tabletop gaming, and it will put board games in front of you traditional board games. Now I've used it to play things like Axis and Allies. We played Brett, what's that game we played? The mystery game that was some kind of Cthulhu game. Remember what it was? Didn't you play, Brett?
No idea what you're talking about.
Brett doesn't know. Anyway, there's a lot of board games like that you can play that, it's the kind of games that I would play in college. We'd get around on the weekend and we'd sit around and play, Axis and Allies. We play role-playing games as well, but, we'd play Third Reich, in which you had the whole battle, for the World War II battle, for Europe. You can put all those down. You can roll dice. You can actually knock off the pieces. You can actually slam the table and turn it over. And
I think this must be what I was hearing, the scene. Yeah, the one that we used to play Elder Sign. That was one of the Lovecraft games.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a bigger one. There's so many Lovecraft board games.
Oh yeah, Civilization is another one, and I don't mean the Sid Meier's Civilization.
Yeah,
I mean
but
the board game where you were in the Mediterranean, and you were one of I want to say 8 civilizations, and you just your population grew, and you tried to discover papyrus and sailing and trading and things like that. It was a lot of fun. But you can play that now on the computer. It's not really a computer game; it's a board game. But Steam, you can use Steam in order to play that game, and many board games. I'm not going to say all of them, but many of them.
Yeah. Many of them that come out. I like board. But you do have to coordinate a lot of people to get those going.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Cameron Christopher Payne says you can use Steam games on Switch if you load Windows on it, though.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. Well, I've already said before. Friday night. I think I said this last week. Friday night is kind of my game night. It's the night that I've kind of, I have to do this because kind of like Tommy. That if he'll be honest, he has told he and I've talked about games before. It's like they can be addictive. You can get addicted to certain aspects of the game. It's like, oh, I gotta play, right? And so one of the ways that because I don't want to remove them completely from my life, I feel like it's a nice stress relief, but I do have to limit it. So Friday night that's when I play games. I play games on Friday night, and we've played that. I played PUBG with Brett. We played a lot of Heroes and Generals. When we got a bunch of my college buddies together, we played things like Sid Meier's Civilization, where you actually do that. We played some Age of Empires. But the game that we've been playing recently, you guys might all be real interested in. Oh, Brett, find that clip of me and you and Keith and Tim where Keith gets splattered against the wall. You know what I'm talking about, Brett?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, find that because it's on your Twitch. So
you guys just been playing Pokemon Go with Tommy?
No, so we've asked actually Tommy to play this game with us, but I think he's said that he's afraid he'll be addicted. All right.
Okay.
So in the early 2000s, they came out with a game called City of Heroes, which is this massively multiplayer online thing, right? And you go in and you create your character. There are character sets, so like you can be a blaster, you can be a scrapper, you can be a tanker. There are things that you can do. And you level up as the more you fight, the bigger the villains get, the more levels you get. You can get more powers as you go. I played this live from about 2004 probably to about 2008ish, and then took a little a couple of years hiatus, and then played it up until it ended. I was playing it when World of Warcraft first appeared. And World of Warcraft is really kind of what destroyed the game initially, because there were so many people playing City of Heroes. World of Warcraft came out, everybody left. Now I never left because I'm a superhero guy and not a troll and elf and golem or whatever it is. I don't hate it. It's just like I don't want to play that. So I stuck with City of Heroes. But ultimately, all my friends kind of left as well. So it's not as fun playing by yourself. You can play it a little bit, but it's kind of like, where's the fun in it?
What do you want me to do with the clip?
Can you show it actually?
Oh,
because it's not very long. It's only like 2 minutes long.
I think so. Give me a second.
All right. So are you guys have it up? You guys have the stream up where you can actually see it?
Let me hop on.
Yeah. All right. Give them a second, Brett. Before anyone who wants to pop over and watch it, make sure you've got you guys here. Make sure you got it up. But essentially, what you do is you go in and you create a character that you want to play. And then you get on teams, and then you go run missions. The missions are like, save this person, rescue this person, fight this villain, that kind of thing. And so NCSoft is the maker of it, and they canceled the game, around 2012, something like that. And I had always heard rumors that there was a faction from NCSoft that actually kept them going, but it was all secret. And then about last May or June, a friend of mine said, "Hey, it's real." And I'm like, "What?" And he sent me this link to those private servers for City of Heroes. And so I went and I downloaded it, and I'm like, "Holy crap, it is real. It's everything is there, the game, right?" And so these are private servers, not sanctioned by NCSoft. Well, apparently NCSoft knows about it, and they're actually in communications trying to get some kind of deal cut. With NCSoft, but NCSoft has no desire to support the game for some reason. But anyway, you got it ready? Everybody ready to watch now?
Yeah.
All right, Brett, put it up. Play it. Now, this is a situation where me and Keith and Tim and Brett are all playing. At the very end, you'll see a guy get blasted. He goes up and knocks this thing, this piece of equipment, and it gets blown against the wall. All right, Brett, go ahead.
On the other side of the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Tell me when it's done.
Decently long clip. It's 40 seconds.
Okay, so Brett's the one in the cowboy hat. I'm the one with the big red cape, as you might imagine.
Else has to.
And that little glowing box is, you can see Brett standing up next to it. This is from Brett's perspective because he was streaming, right?
Wait.
Trying to figure out what to do with it, right? He tried to click it and couldn't click it, and then he figured out he had to shoot it. Well, that's Tim with the two swords there.
We have to shoot them. Never mind.
And Keith is the one who comes up later. You see Brett here. You'll see his face. He'll go, "Oh!" Right? And then he starts shooting it. And then Keith will walk up. See, it's almost done now. That's Keith right there with the gun. It explodes and knocks him up against the wall, splatters him against the back wall. Essentially, what it did is it just exploded, and he did not have any idea that that's what was going to happen. We don't take ourselves seriously when we play this. There are some people get in there and like, no, we don't want to die, and we want to make sure that our characters never do this, and I'm here to earn XP, experience points, and level up. When I was like, the highest you can get is a level 50. And when the game was playing live, I was telling Brett, I think the highest I ever got was about a level 41, 42. I created several different characters, played several different character types.
Yeah.
But I just never made it to level 50. I've been playing this game since last June. Okay, so a little bit more than a year. We're going through the Halloween stuff right now, where you can go trick-or-treating in the different city zones, right? And if you get a treat, they give you like a weird costume, and if you get a trick, well, then bad guys come out, usually ghosts and zombies and stuff like that. They come out of the doors, and you have to fight them. but we've been playing it for about a year and a half. I still don't have a level 50 character, right? I'm close. I have a 47. So I think I'll probably hit 50 here by Christmas time, I think. But it's one of those things that, we get on, we team up, we go do missions, and we have just really kind of a fun time hanging out. Again, we don't get too serious about it. We don't get wrapped up in it. It's just something fun. And this is what I've been doing on Friday nights for most of the last year and a half.
Cool.
If you guys want a really fun multiplayer, and I think it's more than 2. I think you played network 4 players, but a split screen. Me and my friends used to play Earth Defense Force. Anybody know these games? Okay. So these games they don't look super great, but you're basically these soldiers, different 4 classes that basically shoot giant ants and spiders and whatnot that are destroying the city. And they have like almost 100. They just swarm you. But the physics in it are very wonky. So I mean, we would play and we see spiders doing like cartwheels in the background and stuff. Like we couldn't and you can actually make the soldiers sing. There's actually a thing where you can actually once you start singing, like everyone in the game will start singing this like combat theme song as you run in the battle. They just announced number 5. They're not the greatest things to look at. I mean, they don't look like super AAA, but they are so fun because they drop all these like different weapons, and eventually you're fighting like Godzilla. Giant frogs with guns, all the buildings destructible. So yeah, if you have any sort of fun, they're kind of these underground games, but Earth Defense Force, they're fantastic. They're so addictive.
Well,
you guys want to see some color, and I can change.
Yeah.
Can give you a break from penciling.
Well, have you heard of City of Titans?
No breaks.
I don't know if
pencil.
I'm doing the boring bits now.
Ron, did you hear City of Titans? I don't know if it was like a reboot of City of Heroes or it was like a family one, but I was curious what that was. Did you?
Yeah, it's I don't think it's out yet. Okay. There's City of Titans, and what's the other one, Brett?
What other
starts
one?
with the people doing the City of Heroes. Vin V something. I can't remember, but yeah, those are splinter groups from it. Actually, there was a group from City of Heroes that wanted to do City of Heroes, but they obviously City of Heroes is owned by NC Soft, so they were trying to make their own game. And there's a Valiant is another one, not the comic publisher.
Yeah,
I think it was just called Valiant. Was the other game that was City of Heroes like. Brett and I got in there and played at some of the really early Valiant betas, and we really couldn't do anything. You could kind of fly around in a sexless, body, and they didn't even have the who did we lose? We lost somebody.
I lost that's my
Oh, okay. All right. Brett had you both on there though, Pete.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thought they needed my phone. I was like, I need my reference. So
that's okay. All right, Brett. Where Pete is, put the group of us there. Yeah. So yeah, it was very much in the same fashion. Champions Online was also very similar to City of Heroes, which I know a lot of people, and it's free to play.
Champions like the old RPG.
Well, it's the same name based on that kind of system, but it's not the RPG game. But yeah, like that. It's just called Champions Online.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I love those online MMO games. I love like being in that world and then playing with friends, and you kind of create your own story, right? That sandbox idea, and it's just.
See, the crazy thing is I never played City of Heroes, but I seem to remember DC Online being something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
true, right?
I don't think it's still around, but it was. Yeah, DC tried to capitalize the city.
No, DC Online's still going.
Is it still going? Okay.
Really?
Yeah, like they had this huge event. Like I saw it. I came across. I can't remember what I was on, and I was like, "That's still going."
Yeah. Yeah. So that actually kind of brings up kind of the next question that I had is like, so, I heard you guys talking about things like story for Spider-Man and stuff like that. And a lot of these games are single player games. So which do you prefer? Do you prefer the sing, or which do you prefer, and which do you end up playing? Because of that, that may not always be the same thing, right?
I'm primarily single player, just because I think I grew up playing games that way, and to me, games are a way for me to kind of escape and relax, and so I don't need somebody else running around on screen screwing up my day. It's kind of like I'm getting away from people, so that means I'm getting away from people online as well. I do play sometimes with friends I know online, but instead of playing public, every time I played public, I think also online games sometimes get repetitive, especially the shooters, because you play around, you win or die, and then it's just the same thing over and over. And I need maybe a little more of I need to reach an eventual goal. And I also like my stuff mixed in with puzzles and stuff, and you don't get a lot of puzzles in online multiplayer, not as much as single player. So I usually primarily single player games.
Yeah, I like both. It depends. I like playing online with friends, but I like a good single player campaign with the story. Like Aaron kind of touched upon, the toxicity, right? Because everybody's so nice online. When and usually that's one of the reasons I don't play Grand Theft Auto online that much, is because you'll just be trying to run a mission, and then some 10-year-old will shoot you in the head and kill you, and it kind of ruins your day. But the funny thing is for
That
Red
sounded
Dead
like
Online.
experience.
Oh, listen, I'm gonna get that 10-year-old too.
I know. He's hunting him down. This wanted posters all over Grand Theft Auto.
I
seen
have
this
a list.
kid?
I have a list of the people who did me dirty, just in case I find them again online. Because that's the kind of guy I am. But it works for Red Dead Online. Like the Red Dead Online, it feels like the Wild West because it's so dangerous. Like there'll be moments where I'll be, on my horse going down a ravine or something like that, and I see another person, I know it's a player, and I'll literally be holding the trigger, waiting to quick draw on him in case he's, aggressive. And that actually feels right in that kind of game. It makes it feel really dangerous, and like anything could happen. So it's,
yeah.
But
And
what
also,
I don't like is I
also
don't
was
like
never good enough for a lot of online games. Like I played Street Fighter, and then I just got destroyed. I'm like, okay, back to the computer.
Yeah, it's not so bad until you hear their voice. Like I often say, I was playing Grand Theft Auto, I think I mentioned before, and I was on this crazy heist, and we had this one person who was a gunner, and she was just, the person, I didn't know who it was just destroying everybody. It's the most violent, most destructive, and pinpoint accuracy person. And at the end, one of us complimented her, and it was like a 6-year-old girl, and she's like, she goes, "Of course I'm that good. I'm a professional," And it was like the coldest, most heartless thing coming from this little kid. It was like, your parents know you're online? It was
Isn't it late for you?
Yeah.
Say the darndest things.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching Brett. You talk about young. I was watching Brett stream sometime within the last couple of weeks, and sometimes after he's done with the competitions or when his team is finished practicing, he'll just jump on and play some games with some random people. I say random, but there's people he knows, right? And so I'm watching him, and they've got this new person on there, and this person was just like, doing some stuff, and I'm like, well, that person's pretty good. And then I hear them talk, and I'm like, what the heck? It sounds like they're 10 years old.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then, so I used to get, every time I play Street Fighter and lose, people send me messages, get good, learn the block. And I'm like,
get good. Yeah.
It's like, I didn't pay like $60 to be berated by people online. This is just ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry.
That's an insult. I think I've heard Brett say that before. Is that's an insult there? Is that get good.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the Joseph Kony videos on YouTube? It's hilarious. So this guy will play online shooters, and he's a hacker, so he can hack through the network and find out who's talking smack to him.
Oh.
And he basically has this thick accent, and he goes, I'm this, and he bases his character off of this African warlord, like in real life, who had all these kid soldiers and did voodoo and stuff. Yeah. And it's awesome because he'll be talking to him, and he's like, don't mouth off to me. I know the voodoo. And the guy will be like, well, you're stupid. You can't shoot right. And this. And he'll say, oh, really? Is that you, John Smith Perkins? And the guy goes, what? And he goes, I told you not to mess with the voodoo. The voodoo tells me you're on, Warburton Street in Ohio. And, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, sir. Now apologize and kiss my feet. And, It is hilarious. I'll post it on my feed so you guys see. It's awesome.
Actually,
Yeah.
post
So
it post it
satisfying.
in the comment here on
Okay.
to the video, to our stream.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
I still think some of the when I watch people, I guess with that's video game trolling online, some of the trolling like you were talking, Curtis, they do. They had one that I remember. It was like, I think it was like some open world Conan game, but this
Yeah.
guy apparently you can ride horses, make the horses kick.
Yeah.
And so like he went to this
I have a friend who
trail.
plays that.
You have a friend, but yeah,
There's an open world. What?
Conan,
there's a
open
trail
world
on this
Conan.
thing where apparently
I have to find that now.
yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But he backs the horse up so the butt of the horse is facing outside the trail, and then it goes to a cliff. And then he just sits there, and people walk up and they can't figure out what he's doing, so they try to go behind the horse, and he kicks them off the trail, off the cliff. And it's funny watching these guys trying to figure out, like, well, what should I do? And then he's like, doink, and he kicks them. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how online trolling can reach another level in a lot of these games.
Especially if you're watching. I mean, no one wants to be the butt of it, but if you're watching it, they had one in the Dark Souls games, you can invade other people's games and try to kill them, which I've had people happen to me a lot. So you've been invaded. But there's a spell in that game where apparently you can turn into random objects, like you can transform and look like a crate or something. And so this guy knew he was being invaded, so he quickly like disguised himself as a crate, and then just watched the guy try to run around trying to find him. To the point where the guy couldn't find this guy. It's like, well, I invaded your game to kill you, and I can't find you. And the guy would actually follow him around as a crate. And then the guy would look behind and be like, "Why is this crate? Why is this like treasure chest or crate following me?" And then he walks some more, and he kind of follow him. So he was just trolling this guy, but it was hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen the ones where the trolling videos where dudes like playing like Call of Duty or something, and sitting there and like one dude comes through and he's running around and he's like, "You can't kill me, you can't kill me," and then stabs him with a knife.
One that
anybody? Okay.
No, it was like they had another one. I guess like it wasn't Call of Duty. It was something else where you can spray paint graffiti onto, like, you can tag on the wall, so you can put any picture you want on like walls. So it's like you run on a level, like, spray paint your tag, your team or whatever. But this guy started putting up like inappropriate images of ladies and other things on there. And so when he put them on there, then he'd go hide. And these people would run by, and a lot of the guys would run and stop and look. And as the guy was looking at the image, he'd come up and stab him. I was like, that's awesome.
Well, everybody, you're familiar with Ultima, right? The classic RPG,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Online,
Did you hear about the about the Ultima Online assassination of the company's president?
Ultra Crack?
Oh,
we're talking about
it's like,
Ultra Crack?
Yeah, it was like it's one of like gaming history's biggest things. So Richard Garriott, if you're familiar with him, he's the guy that created Ultima and one of the gaming pioneers. And in Ultima, he has his alter ego, which is Lord British, who is the head king of the kingdom, right? So when they had Ultima Online, which is the precursor to EverQuest, City of Heroes, World of Warcraft, he had his own online persona, and he had an event where one of his employees, Lord British was programmed so that he couldn't be killed. He's the king. And one of his employees was a hacker and hacked in a code to kill him and killed his boss online. And it's hilarious because I guess he came on and was like talking to everybody about, enjoy the kingdom. And then just somebody throws a fireball and just murders him in front of everybody. And there were all sorts of funny things happening then, like we talked about in video games called collision errors. Collision errors is when one thing bumps up against another, and if it's not programmed right, you'll pass through it.
Yeah.
So the collision error in that game was if you got drunk, you vomited, and if you vomited near a building, you could phase through the building. And people figured it out, so they were stealing stuff from his castle and things. And there'd just be people outside in a field in front of the castle just vomiting profusely, and then walking through the castle and grabbing like crates of gold and running out and stuff like that. So you gotta love human nature when it comes to video games.
I think that's the one thing I've noticed. I mean, at least comics, you generally can control some of the experience, but so many people say when they play video games, especially open world, they're always surprised how people what they'll do in these games or try to figure out to do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like EverQuest. My friend was part of a protest on EverQuest once where all the Rangers, they had a certain level of stats and then they dropped them down so they weren't as strong. So everybody got angry. and all the Rangers decided to crash the server. So they all went to this small cavern, and they all piled in so it couldn't compute, and it crashed the server. And he had screenshots, and you just see all these guys that look like Robin Hood, like crowd surfing on top of each other in this cavern. And they crashed the server down as
Oh,
a
that's
sign of
funny.
protest. It was
Conan Exiles, John, is the name of the game.
All right.
Yeah,
I remember Evercrack.
A good friend of mine plays that quite a bit.
Yeah, I love those things. Oh yeah.
Brett, did you ever play Conan Exiles? I know you talked about it.
No, I did not.
Yeah, okay. Well, what else?
That's a rough one. What we talked about the great games. What are some of the worst ones? I mean, that's always where the fun happens, right? What are some of the absolute worst games?
What?
Superman
4.
The movie or the game?
$79.
Superman 64.
No.
Oh, that's famous. That one's famous, right?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Just yeah.
What were the flaws in it?
What were the good things about it? That would probably, that would take less time.
Wow.
Horrible flight, horrible graphics, horrible use of everything that was part of it. It was, E.T. was better. I mean,
that hurt.
I can't believe anybody that spent any time on this game more than probably 2 hours. I mean, it was awful. It was horrible. And yeah, I still have it because I would be embarrassed to try to trade it. I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to even bought it. I can't believe I'm admitting it now, but it was that horrible of a game.
Some of those games actually become rare because if they're that horrible, nobody buys them and they throw them all away. Sometimes just having a copy of them will make them kind of rare a little bit.
They tried to do the E.T. burial thing with it, but they probably
Yeah, they did.
Concrete.
Well, you saw that documentary. You talking about the documentary they did about that? Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. But yeah,
Anybody ever play Age of Empires at all?
No.
I think I played it once. A little bit. Yeah, because I remember it was interesting. You could have all those different civilizations and stuff. And
So I played Age of Empires 1, Age of Empires 2, bought the expansion. Age of Empires 2 was really good. In fact, I've played it within the last 2 years with Brett. I bought Age of Empires 3. It was so bad, I took it back to the store and I said, "This is a piece of crap. Can you give me my money back?" And would you believe Best Buy gave me my money back?
They did? Wow.
They did. They did. And it was to Best Buy, which is why I have to, I like Best Buy a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to give them a shout out. I took it back and I said, there's nothing wrong with this game other than it's a piece of crap.
Wow.
And they took it back. They sure did. I only had it for a couple of days. I didn't have it long. I mean, I know I had it less than a week, but I went in and played it and spent, several hours playing it. And I'm like, this is terrible. It was nothing like the first two versions at all. And Brett told me here recently, he goes, "Hey, I see Age of Empires 3 on sale." And I'm like, "Well, you can buy it. I ain't spending my money on that."
It's funny, those real-time strategy games, right? Because they're always top-down.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, I worked on some of those, and you're trying to save the polygons, from memory, the fastest, those little triangles that supposed to. So most of those games, most people don't know is if you could flip the camera on, none of the characters have anything on the bottom of their feet. All the feet are hollow because you're trying to save those polygons to put somewhere else, right? So, this is like a fun fact about those kind of games.
That's interesting.
Well, especially first-person shooters. Every time you play first-person shooters, you always see if you have legs.
That's
sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, just to save computing space. Like I'm even playing the newest Doom, and I'm like, nope, no legs. I'm a floating torso.
Well, Brett's got this thing going around because of the PUBG. Is like the difference between first-person shooter and third-person shooter. And of course I play City of Heroes almost exclusively in third person because I like to be able to pull back just a little bit and see what my character is doing and how it's interacting with the environment. But you can scroll in, to make it first person. And of course, he's throwing lots of shade in PUBG, right? Because you can't compete in third person. you can only compete in the first person. Brett, correct me if I get this wrong, but all the competitive stuff is first person. The maps require that, right? And it's like, because, well, if you're in third person, you go up to a rock, you can actually turn around and see what's on the other side of the rock if you scroll out far enough, right? Where in first person, you don't know what's on the other side of the rock. So
They actually did that. Was the Star Wars Squadron game came out. I haven't played it yet, but you can play the whole thing in VR, which is why playing Star Wars in VR but you can't get out of the ship. I like that too, and I like third person. I think like you, because I like, well, I want to be able to see my cool Star Wars spaceship.
Yeah,
right. But yeah, they said no, you exclusively just you're in the cockpit the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some of that stuff, because I've played like Clash of Clans and stuff like that. Some of that strategic stuff like that, and building civilizations. That's part of the reason why, like when Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out, you actually have a settlement and stuff. From what I've seen, yeah, and you can actually build alliances with other Viking clans and like travel from Norway to England, and it's got a lot of. They actually got some of the history like involved in it too.
That's pretty cool.
And it's kind of like Fable with the choices. What your choices have make the game react to you differently based on your choices and stuff like that. So
I think I've been hearing rumors that they want to bring Fable back.
I've heard that they're doing a Fable 3.
Yeah, they're doing another one. So
Do none of you play sports games?
Yes.
The funny thing is I'll play sci-fi sports games. I mean, I remember, as dumb as that sounds, like I remember when I was a kid, this is, even going a little retro, but like there was a futuristic speedball game.
I remember
that all
that
the time.
one.
And it was like, and then there's SS Tricky, which is like, sports game, but it's a video game sports game. I'm a big fan of the Burnout. I don't know if you consider Burnout sports, but driving cars, but the Burnout series, you crash cars, that was always fun.
I played Madden a bunch of years, and NBA 2K. I play that with friends.
I played NCAA football until.
I wonder why.
Until they canceled it. I discovered it around 2003 with I think our PlayStation, and I think then a couple of years, and then I started getting every other year I would get the new one. And I think the last one I got, Brett, is it 2014? Was that the last one? Or do you remember? I think 2014.
I don't really remember. I think it's 14.
Yeah, I think 14 was the year they canceled the contract with in the NCAA. And so I have, if you go and look, I have 14 and 12 and 10 and 8. But I still play that one occasionally, particularly we lost somebody. Particularly when during football season, and especially if my team is doing horrible, I get mad and I just jump on NCAA and I play.
They're going to win this one. They might not win the real one, but they're going to win this one.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's like I can beat Alabama. Why can't my coach? Why can't the real team beat Alabama?
Because it's a game, bro.
I know. But yeah, that's pretty much the I talked about what we did in the dorms with the seasons and everything last week, but that's one of the few sports games I still play. But
anybody ever play a video game that was touted as like the greatest game ever, and then when you played it, you just didn't get it or didn't work for you or didn't like it? I guess that'd be overrated games.
Yeah. Have you heard of Black and White? Black and White was that.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Black and White was like you could essentially be God, and you'd have like this kingdom, and you could do, and it was like but it just kind of was dull, just kind of was dull, I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite. Brett said Fortnite. Yeah. I tell you, the one I struggled with initially was Minecraft. I had played so many games, competitively and keeping score and objectives and things like that that, you know, I like the idea of Minecraft. And so when Brett, you know, wanted it, I'm like, yeah, oh, that sounds great. You know, you go and you build stuff. You know, we wanted to encourage the creativity in him and everything. And then, you know, he's like, hey, you want to play with me? And so I, you know, I sit down and try to play, and I'm like, okay, what's our goal? Just do what you want. So where are the points? There aren't any points. Well, how am I trying to accomplish stuff? You just do what you want. I don't know what that means. What do I do? You know, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I struggled with that game when I first started playing, because, you know, I didn't know, there were no objectives, there were no points, there were no, I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I mean, technically
I'm having a very hard time with Minecraft, honestly, because the kid I'm playing with has internet, you know, and he looks up stuff that other people do. He goes, I want you to make that. Can we make that? And there's tons of stuff that's really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how to make that. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, it really is. Brett can make all kind of really cool stuff. I mean, he can make trap doors and flames and, you know, archers, and he builds castles and all kind of cool stuff. I ended up what I ended up doing is I ended up making carts. I would lay track and make carts from like one. I was the transportation guy, right? Yeah, I would say, okay, Brett, there's your house. Here's my house. I'm gonna make a cart to go to connect us. You know,
and then to do make a tree house the other day. I'm like, that's so cute.
Yeah, it's really cool, all the stuff that you can do.
Talking about Minecraft, one of their oldest servers, their anarchist server, is gonna die soon.
Oh, really?
Why?
It's just so old. It's like one of the oldest servers, and they're just not gonna update it.
Oh, okay.
It's just gonna die off.
You know, it's funny. I never could get into the like Skyrim and all those games, and I tried, and I finally started getting to Skyrim when I played it in virtual reality, because then it was like, well, I feel like I'm really here. But you know, it's funny. I was talking to my friend. I'm like, I just don't get into those games. My friend, who's really into me, he's like, well, don't think of the game as so much like accomplishing a goal, like Roland was talking about. Just play it more like being in this world, like you're doing whatever you want. And I went in with that mindset. I'm like, okay, this game makes much more sense, because I mean, in the game, I remember you could, like, when I first started playing it, it wasn't Skyrim, it was one before it, I can't remember. Like, you could pick up forks, you could pick up anything, and I was like, you know, and playing the game, like, well, this must be relevant down the road. And then I realized, like, no, none of this stuff is really relevant. You can just pick it up if you want to. And it's like, well, that didn't make any sense. But then again, it's like, but when he explained, like, well, you could just do anything you want, I'm like, okay, then that does make sense. You can just do what you want to simulate. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody played the Yakuza series? That series is so good. And it's all about the side quest, right? You have your main narrative, which is like this really serious Yakuza kind of series, but then you'll be off on a mission and there'll be all these side quests and things you can do. You can do karaoke, you can help this person who needs help with shooting a movie, and the side quests are hilarious. I mean, you would think it was this really, you know, rough Japanese crime thing, but that's only the main story. But the side quest is actually more fun sometimes than
Isn't there a new
story.
Yakuza game coming out, like a new one or something they just released? Or
Yeah, there's a new one that's just coming out, and they've dubbed over the whole thing. But it's a cool game, and the neatest thing about it is, which you wouldn't think is the case, is it's the same city that it takes place in for like 7 games. Wow. But it takes place during different eras, so you get to see what that city looks like in the 80s, and then you go back in the 90s, and now this shop is closed and this thing's there, and you actually see the city developing.
Is it a real city or is it a fictional city?
It's fictional, but it's basically Osaka and Tokyo. I mean, like,
okay, cool.
Exactly, like verbatim. But that's a really fun game, and my wife actually watches me play because she likes the story. She gets so involved with the story, you know.
Did
whenever that happens, I get to play more.
Did you ever play a game called Sleeping Dogs?
Yeah.
That was a fun one. That kind of, the Yakuza games, not really, but the same sort of like genre. I think Sleeping Dogs is more like Jet Li Kung Fu action movie, which I thought was a really cool concept. They never did more. That was a really fun game, and then they never made sequels or anything. But Yakuza has been around since like with the old Sega systems, or like the
it's originally
it's an old series.
It's a Sega game. Yeah. And you think Jet Li had this game for the PS2. I always thought was really cool. You know, when you press block in a game, the character just freezes and absorbs hits, which is not how you're supposed to, in reality, block a fight, right? What they had is just this cool animation where when you held the block button, you'd only have to hold it, but he would dodge the appropriate punch, block this. And so he would move while you're holding this button. So just
that's
visually.
kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a great thing. I'm surprised nobody kept it up. But
there's a lot of stuff I've seen in games that I thought were really cool, and then I never see him go further. There was these really cool. There was this really cool combat system in these games called Mark of Kree. And
I remember that. That was great.
Yeah, and it was like they were almost like Disney animated barbarians, but the system, the fighting was really weird. You would hold this button, it's like this ring of like this beam of light would come out, and you spin the beam of light around you, and as the light touched the enemies, it would assign them a button. And then once it's assigned the button, then you could do combat almost like the Arkham City games. You hit a button and he would attack based on the button. It was really inventive, and I've never seen anybody copy it that way before, but I remember having a lot of fun with that. So
yeah, totally. I remember that game. Yeah, it was like a Polynesian Disney.
Yeah, it was really cool. They made like two of them. Like it was Mark of Kree, and then there was the Rise of the Kasai and his sister. Everything about those games are really cool. Because you think with the Disney, like the animated, the hand drawn look, they'd be really family friendly, but they were like straight up like Conan, Polynesian, like barbarian games. I mean, they were like totally really cool. Yeah,
totally. Unless if you folks, talk about game design, right? Game design is like in editing and film, right? It's like that invisible art, And the things that they're talking about with this next generation is fascinating because there's things that most people don't even recognize as game design, like field of vision. Like the reason you usually have corridors and things like that is because it just can't compute that much data further out.
Right.
So this current generation will be the first time that you get to see things really far off in the distance and things like that. It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting generation, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Okay.
That's cool.
That is very cool.
Did anyone on here, strangely enough, did anyone in here ever get into the Metal Gear series?
No.
I played them a little bit, but there was just too many cinematics. Even though cinematics were cool, I felt like I was watching a movie more than getting to play the game.
Well, he wanted to be a movie director. Hideo Kojima wanted to be, and so we got in the games. You could see like he definitely fought between wanting to do a movie and wanting to do a video game. But I love that series, and they do all sorts of. He has a really wicked sense of humor in those games. Just all the weird stuff because you can like hide, they obviously hide in boxes. But I think in the last one you can put like pictures of like you can like tape a picture of the box of like a commander doing a salute. So if you come up to a guard and you can stand up in the box, and the front of the box is a big sticker of a guy saluting, the guard will turn and salute you, so you can attack him and stuff. So they do all sorts of weird stuff in those games. But yeah, it's funny. As popular as that game, I don't meet too many other gamers that have played that series. And
I played like 2 of the 3 maybe. I mean, two out of the games. I thought the coolest thing is game design was they had that thing where it was in Metal Gear Solid, was it Psycho Mantis, the telepath?
Yeah.
And he could read every move you did, and you couldn't figure out how to beat him. And then you had to realize that you had to unplug the controller and put it in the other port so that he couldn't mentally read you. It was like crazy game design.
Yeah,
wow.
I remember that.
Is that cool?
Yeah, he would do stuff.
Yeah.
Like he broke in Metal Gear 2. By the end, you're supposed to be like communicating with this like general who's giving you orders as you play this guy Raiden. And by the end of the game, it's like you realize you've been talking to an artificial intelligence instead of this like commanding chief. But then as you play further and the AI, like there's a virus that gets injected into the artificial intelligence, starts breaking down. And then he starts making it like, well, you weren't really talking to the AIs, you were talking to your PlayStation. It was your PlayStation that was giving you the orders to do the game. So it like broke this meta thing. It's like, the game and the PlayStation's been like controlling you and all. And I was like, this is kind of cool. So he really does a good job of like subtly breaking that fourth wall in some of his games.
That's cool.
Yeah, he does some really interesting stuff with that.
That's awesome.
Cameron Christopher Payne said, "Don't buy Doug Flutie 2019 college football game, Basura, something like that." I guess that's the maker. Yeah, the NCAA games were all done by EA Sports. And then he said he loves Metal Gear, and they need to remake the PS1 for next gen.
They do. That's the one. And he was apparently Hideo Kojima. He actually wanted to do that before that he left Konami. So I don't think it'll ever happen. But that was on his slate to remake 1, and then he got fired and he left, and so that will never happen, obviously.
There's rumors actually going around right now, behind the scenes, that they are going to do a remake, I think, of Metal Gear Solid 2. Actually, no, I think they announced it. They are gonna do it. At least
I would
Metal
hope
Gear
so.
Solid
If he
2.
be, if he's involved, yeah, because he tried to, and the whole series is done for the most part. I mean, he did technically finish it. I mean, there may be 1 or 2 threads, but he did pretty much finish the series. I would love for them to remake some of the older ones, especially they technically did remake one for the GameCube, which I have, which is called Twin Snakes. But obviously for the Nintendo GameCube, now even that's dated. But that's the one I play all the time, is the Twin Snakes. But yeah.
Cool.
Well, all right, folks. My clock says 11 p.m., which means we've been at this for 2 hours now. Lots of fun as always. Let me make sure there are no comments missing here. So any final thoughts from any of you guys before we sign off? No. I still hold on to the idea. I've talked to BJ about this some. I don't know how to coordinate it, and I don't know what specifically to do yet. But I hold on to the idea that I would like to get everybody at Silverline together sometime on one of these Zooms and have some kind of game between us. We'll go ahead. I mean, we'd stream it, right?
Yeah.
But have maybe we'll maybe put the colorist. Teams would be the colorist and the pencilers and the inkers, and we'll form teams and have some kind of fun competition. No idea what that'll be yet, but I'm still holding on to that idea that we'll come up with something that we can do through Zoom so that we can.
Can I throw something in the ring?
If you've got ideas for it, absolutely.
What would be cool is because City of Heroes has those crazy customization. You should have Silverline characters in City of Heroes, and have a game, or at least a mission where like Barb plays Divinity and everybody plays their associated characters. Because it has such a really robust
yes, it does. Well, it might interest you to know I've already created a demon character in the game. Yeah, I play him. He's probably about a level 41, something like that. So I play him. He's a scrapper, obviously, but he's a lot of fun.
That'd be if you can do a game between us, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. All in the spirit of friendly competition, us having games as we hang out. Cameron Christopher Payne says thank you for this. Cameron, thank you for this, and thank you to Kasisi and let me scroll up here. Steve and Tommy and Oven. I didn't give my usual Oven shout out. Anita, Tater Lanning. Thank you for all you guys for watching us, for supporting our books. We have fun doing this. We're comic book geeks, and that's kind of why we do this. But the fact that you're there supporting us helps to keep us going. The fact that we know that we're doing something that you enjoy helps give us that little extra spark to keep going. Sometimes when it gets a little depressing, thinking, nobody loves me, but we appreciate you very much. An update on the Kickstarter. I should have funds. I'm anticipating tonight's Sunday night. It's 11 o'clock. I'm anticipating when I get up in the morning, I'll get a notice that the Kickstarter has put the funds in. So if you haven't finished if you haven't filled out your survey, you'll probably need to email me, because I've already, I just a little bit earlier in the day, I captured all the names from the Kickstarter, and I'm working at putting those in and to the thank you page, and I plan on sending all that as long as we got the funds tomorrow. I plan on sending all that into Kablam, who's going to print our stuff tomorrow and place the order for all the books. So if you haven't filled out your survey, I'm going to take the and I don't get an email from you. I'm just going to use the name that you have put with on Kickstarter. So whatever you filled your name out is the name that I'll use. Tomorrow night, we are going to go one-on-one with our very own John Martin.
Who? What? Huh?
We're going
what
to, we're going to dive into John, and we're going to find out what makes him tick. We're going to find out what his influences are, what his comic background is. So you guys show up and bring some difficult questions for John. The harder, the better. Yeah, so we're going to do that tomorrow night, and be prepared to just find out what makes John tick as we do our one-on-one. This Wednesday, and for us next week, we're going to be talking about, drumroll please, the best and worst superpower. So, and this is not the superpower that you want, right? Because that's still another conversation. But this is what's the best superpower in comics, and what's the worst one. We're gonna spend next week. They're gonna talk about this Wednesday Wham, this coming up Wednesday, and then we'll talk about it next week. Don't forget our merch store. Pop over there and look at all the stuff we got that cool demon mug, which my birthday's coming up, so just if any of you feel like that's happy birthday to me. And if there's something that you want to see on the merch store and that is not there, we're open. Send us a message. Let us know. We'll try to get it up there. I think one of my favorite things up there is the license plate, which is pretty cool. All right, let's go around and tell people where they can find you. Curtis, where can folks find you? Actually, Curtis. Curtis.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook, Curtis Fujita. You can also find me on Instagram and YouTube. You can find me through my martial arts school. So it's Tiger Crane Kung Fu, and the ID is Tiger Crane 805. So that's where you can find
Excellent.
me. And I'm going to pass it this way.
Okay, so I didn't see which way that is on yours. So Mike.
To the next person.
Okay. Mike, poking you in the ear here. Where can folks find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with Mike W. Belcher. And you can find Man in the Mask at amkcomics.com. Halloween's coming up, and I'll have a Halloween treat for everyone if they want.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And as a reminder, y'all, there's a lot of that stuff up there you can read for free. Mike's put it up there.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to pay money.
Enjoy.
You can go read it, and then once you love it, because you will, then you can go buy it. And these make
why
great.
wouldn't you want to give Mike money? Look at him.
Hey, Mike, these make great Halloween gift.
Absolutely.
Right? Oh yeah.
Instead of candy, give out Man in the Mask.
Your comics.
That's right. What about you, Aaron? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Facebook at Humphreys Illustration, Instagram at ALH3810. My comics on Webtoons, and then I have HumphreysIllustration.com, which is my portfolio site, and then I think it's Humphreys Illustration at BigCartel.com is my store. So I think that's all where I'm at on the internet right now.
Cool. Now,
don't do the Twitter.
Remind me, how close are you to finishing? You're on issue 9 now, right?
Right. So I have 3 issues after that. I'm looking at towards early next year getting it done. So yeah.
Cool. So you're thinking like February, March?
I'm hoping. Yeah, okay. I'm working. It may be a little bit, yeah. But once I get close to being done with it, I'll probably start taking on more projects because then.
Okay. So maybe
I'll be done way before then.
I should plan to start talking to you around January then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Pete, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Peter Clinton Art. And if you just Google Peter Clinton Art, there's a new website up where you can contact me and buy stuff and commission me for stuff. So Christmas, Halloween, questions are open now for the rest of the year.
Very cool.
So
now, do I have that link? Is that something that you mentioned a new website? Do I have that?
I'll resend it.
Okay.
It's just the old website, but now you can find it on Google because I paid them money. Yeah. Well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, send it to me. I'll make sure. I think I mentioned to all of you before. I have one document that I call it Silverline Live Links. Mm-hmm. Whatever internet links you've sent me makes it to my document. So I just cut and paste that over after we're done.
That's cool. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, go ahead, Pete. Yeah,
That's it.
all right, cool. Yeah, and Pete's got some commissions, so you guys need some Christmas presents. Commission him.
Yeah. And I need Christmas presents too, so I need the money.
That's right.
I did.
Mama needs a new pair of shoes,
Yes,
right?
she does. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
I think I
very
remember
expensive ones.
your pair of shoes were really expensive, weren't they?
Yeah, they were really expensive. She told me today, I don't mind if you don't get me those shoes. That's all. Thank God for that.
You're like, thank you.
$3,000 from.
You'll still love me, huh?
Yeah.
John, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
All over it. I'm plastered in some way, form, or fashion.
Plastered is about right.
No, not quite plastered. Not in that sense. But I've kind of got hopped back on Twitter more than I used to. Because it seems like everybody's kind of hanging out over there for some strange reason. And that, yeah. Anyway, we're not going to get into that conversation.
So what's your Twitter address?
It's John Martin Art.
John Martin Art.
But
Okay.
I do have, or you could just look for the Viking Prince Voltan, aka the artistic Viking Prince Voltan, something like that. I changed it. I change it every once in a while. And I did actually tag Brian Blessing in a picture. The drawing I did.
Yes.
I wonder if I could do one live with him one day. Since everybody says we look like twins.
Yeah, fingers crossed that you'll get him to respond. That would be sweet. Yeah.
But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, which I need to get back to that a little bit. And I have a Patreon. More people I get, the more people I'll start doing on, the more stuff I'll do on it also. Who knows? You join Patreon, you may see more of these than anybody else.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. All right. And last but not least, Roberta.
Hey, yeah,
Well, I
you
guess I
can
have it,
find
Bonnie.
me on Facebook and Instagram, I guess, too. I'm starting to post on that. Under
Good.
Roby Conroy Roby Conroy, ROBI.
Mhm.
And my website is also robyconroy.com. So that's about all I've got. I don't have a Twitter.
That's sorry, you're probably not missing too much there. Now I've kind of noticed your signature there is Roby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was noticing. One of the challenges you guys make for layout sometimes is like you put your signatures there, and I'm like, but that's where this thing was gonna go, and I'm gonna cover up your signatures. Like, yeah, sometimes a challenge. I see Mike laughing. He feels the pain, don't you, Mike? Yeah, okay, so I'm Roland Man, and you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, although I barely post on Twitter or Instagram. Actually, I haven't really posted on Facebook since they forced the new change on me. I just can't. I'm having troubles figuring it out. I use the messenger more than anything to communicate with all you guys. But yeah, I'm there. And please don't forget, Silverline, follow Silverline in all the various places. We've got actually a social media manager who is posting a lot of stuff for us to make sure that you guys all keep up with what we're doing. So yeah, and also as a reminder, all these if you weren't writing them down or busy searching for them as they went through them, I'm going to put them in the body below so you can find all the pertinent links. So until next time, when we see you back here, don't forget. Oh, and by the way, Brett will be streaming as well. You're not streaming tonight, though, are you, buddy? When's your next competition that you'll be streaming? Oh, all right. Okay, so it's yet to be announced. All right, so Brett streams PUBG. You want to pop over and watch him shoot some people and all that kind of stuff. But until then, we'll see you again. Remember to make mine Silverline.
Mine.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.